Plus. Welcome to Cellmates Podcast. 30 days of plus. I feel like we're Kristen Wiig and Fred Armisen, that duet thing on SNL that they just made up lyrics of the. Anyway, we are a daily, unpaid, month-long celebration, exploration, meditation on Disney Plus titles.
I was wondering if you'd get a third one, and you did.
I'm in an Ashman inspirational mood right now.
Because why?
Well, because Dick, this is day 25.
Oh my god!
And
look at us go.
On the 25th day of Disney Plus.
On the 25th day,
the streaming service
of the month
gave
of
to
Disney
me
Plus.
A thing
In
that
a time
I've already seen.
Not too long before our own.
Dick,
Nothing?
we are...
Nothing? That was a good reference.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just did a 12 Days of Christmas thing and you missed it. And I missed whatever you're doing. We're doing a simultaneous thing and we both missed each other's jokes.
I said on the 25th day of the month of Disney Plus in a time not too long before our own.
Oh, you did a Menken Ashman reference. Look at you.
I did a much better reference.
I did a December reference, which is the month that we are in. Dick, why are you making an Ashman Menken reference?
Because it's the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh. Is there another reason that it could be appropriate right now?
Well, I'll tell you why it's appropriate. Because we are kind of watching and also have already watched.
We did watch.
We have already watched in full The Little Mermaid live, which as of today got added to Disney Plus.
It's really fun when Disney Plus gets things that we've already seen or that we're like, oh good, we wanted to watch this, we'll record an episode right now.
And we wanted to talk about this anyway. We were going to wait until we had another Little Mermaid episode.
Sure.
But conveniently, bada boom.
So this is the ABC broadcast that was kind of like one of the Hollywood Bowl shows. We talked about it a smidgen on one of our episodes.
Yes.
Maybe. So it's live musical intercut with the original animated film, which I think works in some ways just as a format better than some of the live musicals.
This works surprisingly
especially
well.
Because they are held to a time limit.
You're held to a time limit.
I think one of the things like where the Christmas Story musical or some of the others get off is
that
like
8 hour
oh my
thing.
gosh, this is 3 hours long. Why? Little Mermaid, you're restrained to, they add some of the songs from the Broadway production in, but only like 2. So I think this thing with commercials was like maybe a little over 2 hours when we watched it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It also, having the non-musical parts handled by the movie also means you can cast singers that don't act.
Yeah.
Which, when you do that in like a live musical, it's a problem.
The book suffers.
And we've seen it better and worse. I'd say like it helps if something is sung through.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if John Legend is an actor. He's a pretty good singer.
Well, he's probably not. We saw him.
Yeah. But like,
but you noticed less in Jesus Christ Superstar.
But in Jesus Christ Superstar, it's sung through.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to try and act. He just has to act. Well, I mean, he has to act. But
it probably would have helped. He came off on I'd say on the bottom 50% of the leads, but I still loved his performance.
Yeah.
But like Brandon Victor Dixon and even Sarah Bareilles like did a little bit more acting with their parts.
He also didn't hit the notes.
Sure.
Which I would say
John Legend was fine.
So who do we have here?
We've got I still don't know how to pronounce her name, and I feel bad.
Lizzo.
No, Moana. We can spell it.
This feels good because not last episode, but recently, maybe it was last episode. We did an episode about the new Three Caballeros.
Oh, that was yeah.
And
it was yesterday, Dick. Don't you remember?
Yes.
The exact order of
And I tried to talk about Carlos Alazraqui. Alazraqui? Yeah. Yes. And two things. One, I was like, oh, the voice of Panchito is Carlos Alazraqui, who's great, who's on Reno 911, who's a comedian that I quite like. But he's not the voice of Panchito.
Thank you to listener of the podcast, friend from the internet, Spencer.
Yeah, thank you, Spencer. In fairness, he is Panchito in some forms.
On the Mexico ride at Epcot.
On the boat ride. But he is not Panchito on the cartoon.
Oops.
Which is why I couldn't find his name to make sure I was saying it right. I'm like refreshing Wikipedia. I'm like, where is his name? I want to make... No.
But one of us, is he also Brazilian? Because I think I just clicked on the name from the Legend of the Caballeros page on Wikipedia.
I'm sorry, I don't know this.
We might have found different people. Oh yeah, this flounder is weird.
Okay. So, we were talking about Moana.
We were talking about Moana because Moana, for lack of knowing how her name is pronounced and not wanting to butcher it,
Moana.
She is Ariel, which seems like a good idea. And so one thing that we have learned...
Kate, wait.
Yeah.
Is there any show that maybe did kind of a Venn diagram over Moana and Little Mermaid?
Oh, maybe the first episode of Cellmates podcast, Dick Ward.
So you're welcome.
Boom.
You're welcome, Live Disney.
We predicted this.
Yeah.
So this is the crossover episode that we did not have we had a segment for it. We just didn't do this.
Yeah.
So it's the Moana Little Mermaid crossover.
Yeah.
She is lovely. She is the right age for this part. Mm-hmm. She can sing really well. Sometimes they made her sing notes that are not in her range, or they made her chest notes that she should have head voice.
Yeah.
I blame poor music direction and vocal direction. I don't blame the actress at all. But I will say the first thing I wanted to see on this Disney Plus version is the Part of Your World reprise. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they put in the dress rehearsal.
Where she rescues Eric. She's sitting on a rock and singing at him.
But I know something's starting right now.
Yeah.
In the live broadcast, so what they did vocally is they used, I assume, the Broadway version. So in the movie version, it's just the same key as Part of Your World.
Right.
Watch and you'll see, someday I'll be part of your world. And it's emotional, but it's the same notes as the original song. What the Broadway version does is it takes down the first part a couple keys so that at the end, the singer Sierra Bajas can option up. Watch and you'll see, someday I'll be part of your world. And it's very dramatic.
Listen to that voice.
Yeah. But I'm like, not only am I just sitting on my couch right now, but I also chose to do that in head voice. If I had chose to chest that right now, it would have sounded very awful.
So let's take a moment and assume not all of our listeners are trained singers. What are head voice and chest voice?
This is my head voice. This is my chest voice.
So head voice is higher and chest voice is lower.
And it's less resistance. Chest voice is where you get belting. So like those really like brassy notes in musical theater, those are more chesting. And you should be like very well trained to use that voice. Otherwise, you're not going to hit the note. Otherwise, you're going to hurt your vocal cords.
So you'd say like your chest voice is a very powerful, supported thing. And your head voice is a little quieter.
Then you can do a thing that's called mix, which is kind of a little bit of both.
Sure, but
it's all training. Yeah.
Sure, but
your head voice is gentler. It puts less stress on your vocal cords.
And it like generally, if you're singing at the top of your range, if you're singing above notes that you could sing in your chest voice, you switch to your head voice.
Right.
She seems like was instructed to chest voice.
And like Sierra Bajas, the Broadway Ariel, she is trained to be able to do that.
She's also Sierra Bajas.
Moana is 18. And also like we already know, we saw the Oscars. she has some problems with some higher range live if she's in her chest voice. We know that. I am not her voice teacher, and I know that.
Yeah.
I would not have instructed her to sing those notes. So
that's like asking Idina Menzel to sing those on TV.
Oh. So the live version, the broadcast that we saw, she doesn't hit the last note. The part of your world.
Yeah, she's
and
a
you
little
can see it on her face, like her face falls. She is disappointed. But it doesn't match the music.
To her credit, she kind of hits the wrong note. She's like a little south of it.
She is a pro. She deals with it.
She holds it. She finishes it out, and she's like, well, this sucks, but I'm not going to stop and call attention to it. I'm just going to go.
She is a total pro about it. All props to her for attempting something that she wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I wanted to see on this Disney Plus.
And so as we rewatched it.
And sure enough, she hits it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as like loud and intense as the other one, but she nails it.
The lighting's a little different.
She nails it. They used the dress rehearsal. They subbed it in, which is a smart choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's
why if you have that footage.
That's why they do the dress rehearsal. You remember when we watched Rent live, most of the show was the dress rehearsal because one of the actors broke his foot.
Broke a leg, yeah.
Broke a leg.
It was.
So, like, much of the show was dress rehearsal, and then for the end, they did it live. So, like, that's why we do the dress rehearsal. That's why we record it. Yeah. Some stuff doesn't go right live. But the turnaround to get this edited, like, fix some of those flubs like that and put this up, that's really impressive.
Yeah, it's a straight month. I think it was November 5th to December 5th.
So, we've discussed the actress who plays Moana.
Yep. Who we're seeing, like, this is on in the background. It's getting to Part of Your World, which I think was one of the best scenes in this. Sorry, but what were you going to say?
Cool. It's a great scene. We were talking about the actress who plays Moana. Mm-hmm. Who else is in this, and how do they do?
Yeah. So we have Prince Eric is someone named Graham Phillips, who was the lead in the original cast of Jason Robert Brown's 13 on Broadway. Mm-hmm. So he's like a legitimate musical theater person, also age appropriate.
And he's in Riverdale
right now? But not the Heathers episode.
Apparently not the musical episode.
Because he is fantastic.
Oh my God, this
Never
kid's
heard
amazing.
of him before this. Like, I've seen 13, but like a regional production.
Sure.
So I don't even know him, but he's great.
Kate, would you say he's the breakout of this cast?
Yeah, I think he comes off the best in this broadcast.
Yeah.
You've also got a Queen Latifah as Ursula.
Yeah, I wanted it
like
to
a
be
better
idea.
Than it is. I think she did pretty well. I think it's hard to do it in this setting where, like, you're switching back and forth and don't.
We'll talk about why some of these actors had, or some of these people had tremendous challenges, or why we assume they had tremendous challenges. But even fine.
It also seems like perhaps she wasn't given as much freedom. Like, her costume breaks at one point.
Yeah.
She's like carrying a squid arm over her shoulder. Like, I just think, especially with the movie being intercut, I think they had a click track to go to. Like, you may not take liberties with this song. You have to do it like this. And it was the same. They did 2 Hollywood Bowls in this format in like 2 years, which is ridiculous. But the second time it was Harvey Fierstein as Ursula, who's like dream casted for me. But even his performance is very kind of basic and it feels rushed.
It's just by the numbers.
And you wonder whether it's because, like, well, we got to get to the footage. Like, this is all a machine as opposed to we're letting you be this character.
Kate, have you seen any performance of Ursula that you just, like, really loved?
I have.
Tell me.
Rachel Bloom does a Valley Girl Ursula. You can find on YouTube. It was at 54 Below.
It's so good.
It's really good. But the best Ursula I've seen is a random a random woman who stood up at the Duplex piano bar in the West Village. This guy at the piano, it was like his warm-up session. He's like, anyone have a request? And this woman comes up and she does Ursula. And she's fantastic. Like, clearly it's an audition book song for her.
Yeah.
And she is just delicious and takes her time with things, and it's so good.
She's delicious,
It's what I wanted Queen Latifah to be. I'm really scared for Melissa McCarthy. I'm really scared.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be bad.
I want it to be Queen Latifah in the movie,
yeah.
and it's not. It's Melissa McCarthy. That's fine.
Yeah.
Queen Latifah's in this. We got a John Stamos as Chef Louise. And, of course, we've got Shaggy as Sebastian. Which is maybe just my favorite choice, even if it's not my favorite performance.
We've debated this. You have different rankings than me. For me, like, obviously, Prince Eric, the guy just sounds amazing. But my number 2 is Shaggy. I think he's fun. I think he's having a blast, and he sounds so good.
He sounds great.
Yeah.
He really does. He's having a blast, but he has this, and we commented it at the time, and we've learned more, but he's got this Jack Donaghy with 2 coffee mugs in his hand problem.
He doesn't know what to do with his arms.
He never knows what to do with his hands specifically. Yeah. He's just kind of like, I don't know, like roboting with his hands. He's got this kind of weird hybrid, like Disney bounding
we're going to come back to why.
Real costume.
We're going to come back to why.
He's got like a padded pleather red vest or like chest plate, but then he's just wearing like red pants and like red like fingerless gloves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of neat to look at, but he can't super move on stage well.
Yeah.
And he's doing conga lines with his like hybrid actors and Muppet crew of sea creatures.
Yeah, the Muppets are awesome.
The Muppets are awesome, if a little like creepy sometimes.
The only one that doesn't work for me is Flounder.
And
Flounder is dumb looking.
I don't know why you just didn't bring out a kid. That's
like,
what
that
Flounder should
fine.
be. It's a kid.
Just like get a producer's kid.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know if Queen Latifah has kids. Get out one of her kids.
Yeah, sure.
But and Stamos, his performance.
Stamos is fun. Since the November 5th broadcast, I've learned some things about Stamos that makes me not want to compliment him as much and kind of just gloss over it. Like, if Stamos is there, that's fine. He's maybe a terrible person.
I mean, he's maybe a terrible person.
All our heroes are flawed, and we shouldn't idolize anyone.
So I would say Stamos' biggest problem seemed to be his blocking. And Queen Latifah's biggest problem seemed to be her blocking and her costume.
Yeah.
And Shaggy's biggest problem seemed to be his costume.
Yeah.
I think I proposed, or you proposed, one of us during the show was like, did they just learn their, like, blocking, by the way, if you don't know, blocking is like your movement on stage. Where you walk to, what you do. So one of us proposed that they might have just gotten their blocking like a day or two before, because Stamos couldn't keep up, and Queen Latifah was like trying to do all these walks that she could not do in this outfit that maybe she had just gotten the day before.
It was odd to me, the complete like radio silence of promotion until like 3 days before this aired.
No.
Listen to us. We're on a 30 Days of Plus Disney podcast. And, like, I forgot until the week before that they were doing this.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't know the date until the week before.
This is us, and we forgot.
And, like, my good friend Sarah, who's also, like, really into Disney Renaissance everything, we're both talking, like, she texts me, like, did you know The Little Mermaid Live is next week? I'm like, I literally found out 2 hours ago. Why don't we, who like things like this, know this? Yes, Dick, you were raising your hand.
Hey, Kate, I know we're just about to finish a run of bonus episodes. And you can cut this. You can cut this if you want.
Oh, no.
Can we do an episode on the SpongeBob musical?
Well, we could...
Like, when there's a live thing, can we just do 20 minutes on it?
Well, we'll figure out a pairing for the SpongeBob movie.
Okay.
The SpongeBob movie, and then we could talk about it in that context.
I just want to talk about the musical.
Are we a live musical podcast now? I don't know.
If it's a cartoon musical, yes. Yes, we are.
We're just...
Boom!
Did you know
Audience,
that we can have conversations...
Audience, we promise you a SpongeBob musical live episode.
I don't know if you're aware, Dick, but we are allowed to have conversations about things that are not recorded for a podcast.
That's not true.
Where we live together, we can have conversations.
Oh, I've been recording all of our conversations.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes the reprise. That's the dress rehearsal.
Yeah, so we have this on in the background as we're recording.
Oh, I'm so happy for her that she gets this like memorialized.
Yeah. Neat. Hey, so
the audio is off from the visual here.
Cool.
I wonder if that's a Disney Plus problem or it's syncing.
Just so you know, audience, the audio is off slightly.
I already said that.
Oh,
they don't need it again. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't seem like it almost seems like Disney kind of forgot they were doing this, and they're like, "Oh shoot, ABC has a slot for us. We kind of have to throw this together."
It's like, we got to do it.
And because it's the Little Mermaid, like everyone knows their parts, but like you got to get blocking together and costumes and stuff.
And so, and like the dancers, aside from like two turtles, seem to know what they're doing.
I'd say 70% of the dancers know what they're doing. We're watching
some amazing wire work going on.
Yeah, the aerial aerial work is
Mermaid?
Really impressive here.
Yeah.
One of the biggest takeaways, at least that I saw on Twitter, is like, oh, if they had rope work instead of roller skates, maybe the Broadway version wouldn't have been the flop that it was. Because it did not. It lasted like less than a year. They did it on roller skates.
Yeah.
They're not trains.
Yeah, this isn't Starlight
This
Express.
isn't trains. Like, why wouldn't it be? I mean, and this is, I guess, pre Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, which couldn't ever figure out how to use.
Yeah, I was about to say systems. That's not a great.
This is what I'm saying, but clearly in 2019, like there's like this scene in the background of some where like there's a aerial double and other swimmers.
Yes.
And they move quickly and they have a very impressive range of motion on these harnesses. That probably is a newer technology. Like maybe didn't exist for Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. I don't know.
Cool.
What I'm saying is you could remount this now because it looks really cool, and I think this is the way it should be done.
Okay. Kate.
Yes, Dick.
What's up with Shaggy's hands?
Well, what we learned later was that part of Shaggy's costume was supposed to include crab hands, like boxing glove mitts.
So by crab hands, do you mean claws?
I kind of mean claws, I guess.
Claws.
But they're more boxing gloves. They're made of foam. Yeah.
But instead of claws, he had fingerless gloves.
Because basically Shaggy said, I'm not wearing these on camera. This is real. This is like a tweet that was like, here's a picture of Shaggy in the claws. And you understand everything about his choreography. And like, I would imagine that Shaggy watching this footage back is like, oh yeah, the claws would have made sense. But I get it as a non-musical theater actor. He's like, no, this is dumb. Yeah. I don't want these things on my hands. But he's not seeing the whole picture with like Muppets on stage and people in starfish costumes doing cartwheels. Like, you gotta commit.
So is there choreography that works?
There is. And I think, again, the 70% of the ensemble that were hired performers worked. I think there's 30% of the ensemble that are like producers' nieces and nephews.
Yeah, so
that don't seem to know what's going on.
Specifically for the song "Under the Sea," we've got a bunch of Muppets on stage, which is awesome.
Here's Shaggy.
Under the Sea is starting right now.
He's moving his arms like he has claws.
So there are a bunch of Muppets on stage. It's
like a third Muppets, a third performers, and a third contest winners, I assume.
Okay. So we've got a bunch of Muppets on stage, and then we have a bunch of dancers in costume that are doing choreography that is kind of close to the choreography from the movie.
Yeah, there's some shot for shot.
Sea slugs that like dance, and they do a dance, and you look at the dance, and you say, oh, they just did the dance. At least I say, they just did the dance for the movie. I get really excited about it. And then behind those people, There are like a couple of people in turtle costumes, a couple of people in fish costumes that are clearly not choreographed.
Contest winners, yeah.
They're just there, and one of them is like a grandma who's just having fun. It's really weird.
Yeah, like, don't you think that that guy that had just had a solo, I don't think he's supposed to be there.
Why not?
I don't know. He's just sitting there.
No, he had a solo.
Yeah, I guess so.
No. So, like, he had a solo. He deserves to be there. He's doing a little dance. That's fine. But there are people who just, like, who do not look like they belong on any stage
I agree with you.
at all.
Yeah. The whole thing is delightful, though.
Yeah.
Like, for this seems slightly under-rehearsed. I had a good time watching it the first time. I'm getting distracted now because I'm having a good time half watching it now.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, I understand. This was a bad idea to put on the background, but I don't want it to stop. Yeah, so Dick, what is your take on this hybrid, how it works on television?
Watch it. This is a blast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about the animation transitions?
Yeah. Those are super fun.
Okay. So the first one I remember is after Fathoms Below, like
which
the
is
intro
the first
song.
thing you see on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Is the live. You don't start with the movie, you start with the live performance.
Right. You start with the live performance of Fathoms Below, the song that I always kind of forget is in Little Mermaid, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I love this song.
Okay.
I do.
Great.
Sorry.
That's wonderful.
So this fish goes like off of the ship, and in the
it's Prince Eric's like handyman, whatever it is. It's like foot servant that catches the fish,
and the fish goes off of the ship.
He throws the fish off the ship.
Great. The fish goes off of the ship. This is all still true, and it's like a puppet, or it's like a fish prop that he has.
Yeah.
He throws it, and then like it turns into animation.
Yeah. It's and it goes
flawless.
into that scene from the beginning of the movie where it's the transition from the ship to the da 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 da, and there's a single fish
like
swimming down. It's that fish.
There are scenes like this, and some of them are done really well. Some of them are done not really well. I would say the end of Part of Your World, where she's at the end, like in the movie, you see her like swim up through this like the top of this cave.
It's a return to the planing, Disney planing. I always forget the full name of it, but
multiplane.
It's a multiplane technique.
So she's like in this cave, and she swims up to the top of it, and she's looking through like this like hole. And for the live version, they have her look up at the end, and the camera is shooting her from above, and it's framed by not just like a picture of like that rock formation, but the actual animation.
Yeah.
It's really smooth.
It is so cool. And like even the ones that don't work, that aren't like quite as like spectacular, I still appreciate that they figured out a bunch of different ways to transition. It's not always just like, and now a camera change.
Yeah.
It's like there are screens in the live theater with the live audience, and sometimes you zoom in on one of the smaller screens, and it's only a part of the picture, and then it expands. Sometimes there's a physical element like that fish.
It seems like the only thing that was under-rehearsed was all of the actors. Mm-hmm. The technical crew, amazing. Like the direction of like the cameras and things is great.
Yeah.
And also there's like a live orchestra playing along.
It seems that way.
What?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, also the movie works well. Like it looks nice. It looks well restored, and you just forget how good The Little Mermaid looks and feels as a movie.
Yeah.
It has its problems as a movie, but it works really well as storytelling, and I'm always pleased when there's animation on screen. Another, so, okay, they did those 2 Hollywood Bowl. They did a Hollywood Bowl. Mm-hmm. Their first one that was the hybrid, like, kind of like live to the movie was one with Sarah Bareilles as Ariel. Titus Burgess came back as Sebastian because he played him on Broadway.
Right.
Like
Titus
Rebel Wilson
of,
was Ursula.
Pinot Noir fame?
Yes.
Oh my God, I was going to make a joke about how annoyed I'd be with Rebel Wilson as Ursula.
Well, she was.
Well,
it was fine. And it was like, she did it okay. So they did that.
She's like,
and
McFlevity, the McFlirtin cat,
yeah.
right?
So Beyond Rebel, and I think maybe that was the one with Stamos, or maybe he was in the next one, but it was like Bareilles and Titus and Stamos, and like, I looked at plane tickets to LA. It was like I would have had to take off a day of school the time they did
Sarah
it.
Sarah Bareilles was the Little Mermaid?
Sarah Bareilles was Ariel.
How was that?
She just had to sing the songs. I'm sure it was great.
Okay.
Like, that's all she had to do.
Right. It's
it
Hollywood
was
Bowl. It's just a concert performance.
It was this.
Right.
And they literally cut to the movie, and then it was live score.
Nice.
And I think Alan Menken was either conducting or he did, like, an intro. So, like, legitimately, I looked at tickets, and, like, I strongly considered going. I did not. And then, like, 2 years later, they're like, we're going to do Little Mermaid at the Hollywood Bowl. And I felt like I was going insane. Like, no, like, you already did that.
Did that.
And so they're like, now it's going to be Lea Michele and Harvey Fierstein. I'm like, well, some of these choices are better. Some of these choices are worse.
I hope Lea Michele finds something to do.
Lea Michele is constantly auditioning for something. I hope she gets whatever she's auditioning for. Because it never seems like anyone's giving her anything.
I know now Glee. that Idina played her mom
on Glee,
which I did not know. But like we watched the Thanksgiving Macy's Day Parade. Lea Michele came out in her best Idina Menzel costume. It looked like she was and especially when you then see Idina Menzel.
Yeah.
Like it looked like she was auditioning for being
the
Idina
role
Menzel,
of Idina Menzel,
who also is kind of just like doing a Christmas album and.
But like Idina Menzel has done
she's doing Frozen.
Elsa,
Sorry.
yeah,
she's doing Frozen.
She's had some lucrative projects. Lea Michele hasn't really had anything since Glee, and like,
well, she did Ragtime. That was before.
I don't have strong feelings one way or another, but it's always just like Lea Michele playing Ariel in 2016. That feels late. I don't know.
I mean, Sarah Bareilles.
Anyway, but now my theory is they did that second Hollywood Bowl because they knew they were going to do this.
So they wanted to prep.
And they wanted to prep some of the orchestrations, and they wanted to prep the flow. Like, that is, I am 100% sure that's what they were doing.
Yeah. They
might have been testing some talent too, but they didn't come back. Maybe Stamos has done Chef Louis 3 times now. That might be a thing, but otherwise the cast didn't come back.
I want to bring up a horrible thing that John Stamos did, but not any of the horrible things that he's been accused of on Twitter.
Sure.
At the end of Chef Louis' song, "La Poisson," he says, "I should have played Prince John instead."
No, he says Prince Albert.
Prince Albert. Wait, I mean Eric.
Oh my God.
So the joke is John Stamos looks like Prince Eric.
And he has Disney bounded as Prince Eric.
Yeah, he looks great when he's like wearing his like Prince Eric-y costume.
There are problems with John Stamos going to Disneyland.
As long as he doesn't take a tour.
I think he takes a tour every time.
Yeah, well, as long as he takes...
And his wife, like, he met maybe through Disney bounding.
As long as he takes his 19-year-old wife.
She's the same old age as Michelle. Problems.
Which Michelle, though?
Both.
Oh. So,
both.
Yeah. All that aside, he looks like Prince Eric. So the joke is...
like Prince Eric.
I should have played Prince Eric. But instead, he says Albert. He
fucks up his ad-lib.
I mean, Eric... Like he fucks up his
And Prince
planned...
Albert is like a part of an inappropriate joke. So it like just is super weird. And someone commented on Twitter and then he like was sassy to them back. Like,
what inappropriate joke is it part of?
Like Prince Albert and a kid. Like
That's not an inappropriate joke.
Isn't Prince Albert, though, like a sexual joke? Part of a sexual joke? No.
I mean, it's a dick piercing.
Right.
But that joke is, do you have Prince Albert in a can? Yes. Well, you better let him out.
Oh, so I'm combining two jokes.
You're combining two things.
But the point is that he clearly fucked up an ad lib. And, like, on Twitter, he will not admit to it.
He fucked up a planned ad lib.
He fucked up a planned ad lib.
Like he's Kristen Gillibrand over here.
And someone called him out on it. And he's like, what was the part I screwed up?
Come on.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. Embarrassing.
I really wanted to love him as Chef Louis, but I did not care.
No.
At all.
I mean, he hammed it up.
Is Rene Auberjonois still with us? Because if he is, he should have just been Chef Louis again. I mean, I don't know if he could still sing or what. He's 80. He might not have the moves like he did.
No.
But he was a great Chef Louis. Also, he was on Star Trek.
Okay. Yeah, so the production value, so big picture, production value is great. Yeah. Like there's CGI stuff happening right now in Poor Unfortunate Souls and puppets and costumed characters
and projection. You remember,
this is neat.
You remember in one of the songs, I think it might have been Part of Your World, where Ariel was like, "Oh, I want to dance with Prince Eric," and then the camera cut away to two randos dancing in the crowd.
Yeah. And that it wasn't sucked. Mermaids. Yeah, that was weird. So some of it's off. But
generally, it
looks good.
Would you recommend people watch this?
Oh, yeah.
If you like Little Mermaid?
And it's a great, this is I will watch this on holidays with families. When we're eating a meal or preparing a meal, this would be a great thing to have on.
You could not have this on while preparing a meal.
Sure, I burn things, but this is similar to a Macy's parade where I'm up on a holiday. I don't need to really do anything for a couple more hours.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch this. This is a feast of senses.
What would you
my feast of food?
What might you
Boom.
The Feast of Foods?
Feast of Foods.
In January?
January. Well, I will watch this in January.
What might you pair this with?
So I mean, I'm tempted to go to the other live musicals, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure SpongeBob is going to be great. That's this coming weekend.
By the way, as someone who saw SpongeBob on Broadway twice, please watch the SpongeBob live musical.
Yeah.
The music is done by 12 different artists.
It's not super cohesive.
So it's not completely cohesive. The first act, I'd say the first song or two are great, but the rest of the first act is a little eh.
And then some of the second act is the first act is really well paced.
Yeah.
The second act slows down. But we love this show more than 90% of what we have seen on Broadway.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Shows I've seen on Broadway in my top 5 are
Absolutely.
Hamilton, Hadestown, SpongeBob,
Hand to God. Yeah.
Hand to God.
Yeah.
I don't know what my 5th is.
For Me, Peter and the Starcatcher. Yeah.
But SpongeBob is up there. Mm-hmm. It is
it's
on
super
Broadway.
Fun. It's super creative and inventive with its props and scenery and how they interpret the cartoon characters into real life that don't feel like just impressions, but also feel true to the characters.
Ethan Slater
just can rule the world.
He was born to play SpongeBob. He's amazing. He manages both the kind of weird SpongeBob voice and laugh and then sing it.
But he's super endearing. Anyway,
but what would you pair?
Preemptively, I'm going to pair it with that. No, otherwise, I guess so I guess one thing I pair it with is if you're talking about transitions, which musical theater is transitions, says Tommy Kail, who directed Grease Live.
How were the transitions in that?
Really strong. Really good. And I think it's one thing that these TV musicals don't do as well.
No, they...
Save Jesus Christ Superstar, that it's built in because it's all sung.
No.
You don't really have to do transitions. Jesus Christ Superstar is my favorite of the TV musicals, but second is Grease for me, and I hate Grease. But the production I thought was really strongly directed.
Okay.
For TV and for Grease.
Okay.
It made me not hate Grease, which I think is big.
You
don't. I know you think Aaron Tveit was like 20 years too old for the role. I understand.
Okay. First off, I think he's 30 years too old for the role. Second, over Hairspray?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
I think Hairspray might be number 3.
I watched part of Grease. I didn't really care that much.
Hairspray is fine. I think I would need to watch it again.
Okay, so what would you pair this with?
Grease Life.
Okay,
Grease
cool.
Life.
Jesus Christ Superstar is like my second favorite TV musical. This would be my first.
Oh.
Because...
Interesting.
Well, here's the thing. Jesus Christ Superstar is a serious show.
Yep.
So when it was like... When the audience was like cheering inappropriately, I was upset and distracted.
Okay.
When they cheer for every song in this and they cheer for every high note everyone hits,
sure.
I'm like, yep, fine.
Sure.
Because this is what I'm here for.
And I will say it probably blends in because we were able to get tickets for the dress rehearsal of Jesus Christ Superstar.
That's correct.
So we were in the audience.
We saw the dress
rehearsal.
Say
we
saw Andrew Lloyd Webber in person.
We did.
Near us.
No one else knew. I will say that a lot of the cheering that I think you're referring to was actually not in the live broadcast. They deadened it. So I think, but I do this too, that I mix the two, because like there was cheering after the Caiaphas scene. There's this Jesus Must Die in our show. It wasn't on TV though.
I'm not wrong.
I know you're not wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. There was inappropriate cheering all throughout that show,
but less than at our performance.
I'm not saying there wasn't, but I'm still correct.
Yeah, I'm more worried about story in that show, whereas this show, it's like, it's a Little Mermaid.
So
yeah, clap.
Whenever a famous person came on stage or hit a good note, people were cheering.
Yeah.
So even if it's like, if it's Gethsemane, a very like emotional song, people are cheering because John Legend hit a good note.
Yeah, and I wonder if,
So for me... Jesus Christ Superstar falls down in the ranks.
That's fair.
So if I were to pair this, here's what I pair this with, is the most recent Macy's parade. Or basically any Disney parade hosted by Regis.
Sure.
Because you have that crowd. You have, hey, we're all here to have fun and get a little stupid and just enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter because it's not like Jesus Christ Superstar, again, which is a serious show for the most part. And like technically there's a movie, but the movie isn't the standard. Right? But for Little Mermaid, the movie is the standard. You can go back and watch the movie anytime. And this is just like, hey, we're having some fun.
Well,
it's
and you can go back
karaoke.
And watch the movie in the broadcast.
Yeah.
We're watching only animation right now on our screen. I think it's somewhat of a function of we do get to just focus on the story and the book scenes because the movie is cut in. Whereas in Superstar, the songs, because it's sung through, you don't get the chance to just calm down and let the actors do the book. Yeah. They're always hitting impressive notes. So there's always going to be screaming for it.
Many of them are hitting impressive notes.
Sure, understood. But again, the shows function differently in that way, that you don't have time to just pay attention to the story if you're tuning in for the actors.
Right.
Whereas even if they had done book for Little Mermaid, you're not going to be screaming for Moana when she's just reading lines.
Right.
Like,
unless she reads one real good.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, these audiences, and we were in a dress rehearsal audience.
We were.
These audiences are the worst.
They are, I mean...
It's a collection of all of the people I hate in an audience.
For our show, for our Jesus Christ Superstar, it was done through 1 Iota, which is like just random extras and crowds for everything from like MTV to musical theater.
If you come to New York or
like,
you go to LA and you want to sit in on like Stephen Colbert or Good Morning America or whatever, like 1 Iota is a site that allows you to do that. It gives you tickets for free.
Yeah.
You sometimes have to fill out like I'm a super huge fan of this. Like,
people make that shit up.
Like, I wrote like
we were in the minority of the Jesus Christ Superstar audience who knew anything about that show.
Yeah.
We were in the minority of the audience.
We were also
Andrew
in the
Lloyd
minority.
Webber walked in front of us, and no one in our line reacted except us.
Here's the thing.
He walked directly in front of us.
Andrew Lloyd Webber not only wrote Jesus Christ Superstar, he wrote The Phantom of the Opera.
He's a famous person.
He's a very famous person, and nobody else looks like Andrew Lloyd Webber.
No, he is recognizable.
Yeah, it's not like there are some very famous like if Jason Robert Brown was walking down the street in New York, I wouldn't notice because there's like 30 people that look like Jason Robert Brown that walk down the street every day. Andrew Lloyd Webber looks like you know who he looks like? He looks like He looks like the Bat from Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, he does. Aw, I love that Bat.
No other human looks like Andrew Lloyd Webber. So when you see him, you know it's him, and no one cared.
So only go to a 1 Iota event if you think you can handle it. Like,
Kate,
know what you're up against.
Kate, let me say this.
Like the content a lot.
Let me say this. This is our longest Disney Plus episode.
And we did this because we're like, we've already watched this. We can crank this episode out really quick. But I think we're just kind of enjoying watching this show, so we're just talking more as it continues to play in the background.
Yeah.
We're just going to end up watching this whole thing.
Yeah, what'd you think of Frozen 2?
Oh, that's a different podcast. All right. Well, Dick, 30 Days of Plus, hashtag 30 Days of Plus, PLUS. We are Cellmates Podcast. On Twitter, on Facebook, at gmail.com, regular.com. Give us something to watch with the SpongeBob movie, and then we'll talk more about the SpongeBob musical.
Yeah. In case anyone... Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, we got 5 days left of Disney Plus, so recommend us something if you think we can watch it in the next couple of days. We have some things planned, but we're always open to just whatever shows up on Disney Plus or in our recommendations.
And feel free. A lot of times I just say things without thinking about them beforehand. So if I pronounce something wrong or get a fact completely wrong, feel free to correct me.
Be a friend like Spencer.
Thank you, Spencer. I super don't mind. I've seen like people get like John Stamos get really defensive and be like, "What did I do wrong?" I super appreciate it.
Speaking of Stamos,
90% of the time I'm wrong about things.
Yeah, we're not a research-based podcast over here. We maybe should be. It's all on the internet, available for us.
I mean, I'm excited for when we're not doing a 30 Days of Plus, and we have some more time to put some research
I think
in.
we can put these hours into, like, actually knowing what we're talking about.
Or, like, enjoying our lives outside of the couch.
Yeah, it would be nice to sleep. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Enjoy this. It's delightful. A lot of people ragged on it, but this is super fun for me. It's not, is it great? No.
No, don't. Oh, my God.
Do I enjoy it? Yes.
Don't go in expecting.
There's a pairing with Frozen 2.
Don't go in expecting art.
Is it good? No. Did I like it? Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of the music was good. For Cellmates Podcast, I'm Dick Ward.
Kate Phillips.
And that's Detective Pikachu on the couch.
Aw.
All right. Bye.
Plus.
Welcome to... Oh, let's do it at the same time. Ready?
Welcome.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Cellmates
Podcast.